Well, hello everyone. Welcome. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be first challenging you, and second of all, inviting you to leave behind all of your preconceived notions and to get out of that little box that we all tend to put ourselves in. Actually, let's throw away the box completely, because we are going to be sharing a challenge that we had shared and posted both in our Facebook group and also during our live Saturday YouTube sales. So if you haven't joined us for those, make sure that you guys do that. I'm going to leave the link in the description box for the Facebook group. And also, every Saturday at 2 o'clock, we actually come here to our channel and we have live sales in which we roll out all kinds of challenges, all kinds of kits, all kinds of products. So make sure you guys come and join us for that. But long story short, we had actually posted this challenge for our friends, and that was that they were to use a very simple template and create anything. It didn't matter what they created, how they created it. All we needed for them to do was to just get those crafty artist minds working and look at this and say, okay, what do I do with this? Then the second part to that challenge was that I would actually come on here on YouTube in our channel and show them what we had thought of actually doing. Aside from what the actual template is originally intended to do, we were going to show them a whole bunch of other different ways that you could actually use your templates. Here's the thought process behind that. We all have templates. You might have even purchased some from us in the past, or maybe you'll purchase some in the future. We all have dies, right? And we always just kind of think of them as, this is what I purchased this to do. This is what it's going to do. Well, I want you to A, maximize your budget. B, to help you grow as an artist. And how we're going to do that is by taking a template and rethinking it completely and saying, I can get so much more out of this. So without further ado, let's get to crafting. For our first project, we are going to be needing one of our bases, and we're going to be cutting that bottom triangle flap off. Next, we are going to bring that bottom half of the rectangle and fold it, but not all the way up in half. We're going to leave about 1/4 of an inch from the top. Using your favorite paper line or maybe some scraps, we will cut 2 rectangles to actually mat our envelope, and then using our template, we are going to cut the 2 triangle flaps as well. Finally, we're going to adhere both the left and the right side in order to close our envelope. For your closures, you can use a clip, maybe Velcro, a magnet. You can also turn your decorative panels into pockets by simply leaving them unadhered at the top. For project number 2, we are going to be folding both of our triangle flaps inward. Next, we're going to bring the bottom of our rectangle upward, but we are not going to be folding the project in half. We're going to leave about 1/2 inch from the top. For this part, I'm going to give you some measurements that you will need for your decorative papers. Now, feel free to actually play this out and get your paper situated and then rewind back so that you can actually see how we are going to glue those papers down. But you're going to need the following pieces. You're going to need 2 pieces that are going to be 4 inches wide by 3.5 inches tall. This is for your journaling card that's going to be in the back. If your paper is on the thinner side, you might want to actually cut a 1/3 piece. Next, you're going to need 2 pieces that measure 2.25 by 4 inches wide. Now I'm specifically giving you which is the width measurement, because if your paper has orientation, meaning if it's got images, you'll need to know which way the images will need to face. And last, you will need to use your template in order to cut 2 of the triangle pieces. These will have to be recut to match your base, depending on the size of your corner pockets. And now we start adhering our pockets, closing them off. So from here you can just kind of rewind back once you've cut your papers and kind of follow along with the steps that I'm using here in order to close off our pockets and adhere our papers and our bases, as well as our journaling cards. Now, as I mentioned, if your paper is on the thinner side, you might want to cut out a third piece. Here, I'm actually mounting my thinner paper onto another piece of cardstock in order to make my journaling card that much stronger. And here we have our 2 pockets along with our very nice large journaling card in the back. For project number 3, we will need 2 of our bases. Now, one of them needs to be slightly smaller in the rectangle base area, so we're going to take about 1/4 of an inch from both the left and the right side of the rectangle, thus creating a new score line, a new fold line that is slightly smaller than the bottom base. By making that top base somewhat narrower, we are going to allow it to nestle inside of the bottom one. Next, using our ruler, we're going to find the center of our top base, which is around 2 inches, and we're going to use our circle punch to create a notch. Next, we will need eyelets for our project. So using your crocodile, you are going to punch out your holes and insert your eyelets in place. Now, this whole time I've been telling you guys to always make sure that you focus on your paper orientation. So I wanted to leave this bit in here instead of editing it out, because I wanted to show you that even I will glue stuff upside down. I did not pay attention to my images, and so I ended up gluing it down, and when I actually realized that I had glued it upside down, I was able to luckily still be able to peel it off and reuse my paper still. But again, always, always, always keep an eye out for those images and their orientation. And now with our project back on track, we are going to glue those 3 sides in order to make a pocket. To finish our project, we're going to pick a lovely trim or sash in order to create a nice closure. Now remember, this one was just 2 levels. You can actually continue to create multiple tiers by lessening the width of your bases and thus creating 3, 4 layers up. For project number 4, I will be using 4 bases. Of course, you can use as many bases as you like and therefore make a larger journal. You will need to choose which of the bases will be your cover. That one we're going to be keeping whole as it is. From the others, we are going to be cutting one of the triangle flaps. The process will be the same no matter how many bases you actually use. Each time you use a base, you're going to be cutting one of the triangle flaps, and we will save that and put it off to the side for future use. These are great for strengthening your flaps as well as using them for other projects. Each time we add a new base, we are not only going to be cutting one of the flaps, the triangle flaps, but we are also going to need to actually shave down the size just a little bit of the rectangular base, because each of them needs to nestle inside of the next one. So using your scissors, you will shave off just a sliver every time that you place a new base. And of course, you'll kind of go back and forth measuring it, closing it to make sure that it doesn't actually bubble. If it does, that means you actually need to shave off just a hair bit more. This process will continue depending on the number of layers or folds that you want to add. If your paper is not extremely thick or strong, then I would suggest that you use one of those triangles flaps that we had actually cut off to reinforce that main flap. Using your crocodile or hole puncher, we are going to be inserting an eyelet for a closure. Now, of course, closures can be anything. They can be magnets, Velcro. You could also use maybe a chain. There are lots and lots of different ways to close your journal, so you pick your favorite one. As easy as that, we have created our journal base, ready for it to be filled with photos and writing opportunities and pockets. For project number 5, we are going to make a very similar journal, but we're going to take it up to the next level. Now on this one, we are not going to be cutting off our triangle flaps. We need them all. But we still need our bases to be somewhat narrower each time because they need to nestle inside of each other. So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the size of that center rectangle piece by using a stylus pen and a ruler and scoring the lines each time a little bit further in. Then we're going to glue only one of the flaps down. The other one we're going to leave essentially just sticking up. We will continue the same process of narrowing down our center rectangle just a slight bit so it can nestle inside of the previous one, and then gluing down one of our flaps over and over depending on how many bases we wish to use. Next, we're going to cut 4 pieces measuring 5 1/4 by 4. I've used 2 of the red and 2 of the other decorative papers. All of these came from the exact same 12 by 12 sheets, so all I've used for this project are going to be 3 12 by 12 sheets. Next, we are going to take our papers and make sure that they're facing back to back. In other words, whatever pages we want on the outside on either side, we are going to put back to back. And then using our hole puncher, we are going to punch out a notch at the top. By doing this, we are ensuring that all of our notches will match up perfectly. I am going to reinforce my closing flap with another triangle. Now, part of this video was lost, unfortunately. I thought I was recording, but it's okay because I'm going to walk you right through it. We're going to grab the 4 panels that measured 4 by 5 1/4 that we just made those notches on. We are going to take one of those panels and we're going to adhere the triangle that's sticking straight up, that flap, we're going to adhere to one of those panels all the way. That will give us a backing for one of our pages. Then we're going to grab the matching panel from the other side and we're going to adhere glue on 3 of the sides, thus making it a pocket. We're going to repeat this depending on the number of flaps dividers that we want to make, but it's as simple as that. Now for the back of the journal, I've done the exact same thing. In order to cover the triangle flaps that are now glued onto the back, just to make it a little bit prettier, I've cut out additional panels and I've notched them as well, and I've created more pockets for the back. On the inside, we still have one flap left over. Rather than cutting it off, which you can, I've actually just left it in there and added a gold paper clip in order to make this yet another tuck spot. For this next project, we need at least 3 of the bases. You're welcome to add additional bases depending on your desired look. We are going to be adhering them in the middle in order to get our 2 triangle flaps to meet in the middle. I've used some washi tape or some masking tape or some painter's tape to hold them in place while I kind of figure out where exactly it is that I want my placement to be. Once that I am happy with my overlapping in the front, I am going to adhere those triangle flaps on the back. Flipping it over, you will notice that there's a little bit of a lip there that also needs to be adhered down. You will need to do this process for both of those triangle flaps, so we will repeat the process for top and bottom. With our center now adhered, we are going to fold up our paper and get it to conform to whatever new crease lines it is going to have. Now remember, your measurements might vary a little bit, which is why I'm not giving you precise measurements, because depending on how close or how overlapped you've done those triangle flaps in the center, that's going to vary, correct? But in the bottom, what we want to do is we want to create a little bit of a flap by conforming our paper, and then once that is done, we're going to snip off that triangle little flap, thus giving us just about an inch. Again, yours might be a little bit different, but just about an inch on the bottom. This little 1 inch or maybe 1.5 inch flap at the bottom will become a pocket. Using your triangle template, you will cut out your decorative papers as well as, of course, measuring out your other panels. I am using a 3/4 inch and a 1/2 inch circle punch to create our brad reinforcers. You will need 4 of the larger and 4 of the smaller ones. Now, I've punched out some additional ones from the decorative paper just because I wasn't sure what colors I would prefer. Next, we're going to glue down our smaller circles onto our larger circles, and using our awl or our pokey tool, we're going to punch a hole in the center of those. Now, it's important that the following steps we do in a specific sequence. This is going to help us to hide the prongs from our brads. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to glue our top triangle flap cover. Again, now we're working with our decorative papers. Next, we're going to adhere our brad reinforcer to the top front flap. After that is glued down, we're going to insert our brad and flatten the prongs on the back, remembering not to over flatten it because we are going to need a little bit of a give for our twine. With that all in place, now we can cover our prongs and make sure that our project is very aesthetically pleasing. And now we will repeat the exact same process for the 2 remaining triangle flaps. Once again, gluing on our top panel first, then inserting or gluing down our brad reinforcer followed by the brad, and then we can cover the prongs on the back with our decorative panels. Our final brad is going to be inserted on the very front cover, directly underneath the triangle front cover flap. We are going to pick once again our decorative panel. Then we are going to follow the exact same procedure of the reinforcer followed by the brad. And this will conclude all of our brad placement. With all of our brads in place, it is now just a matter of gluing down, adhering down all of our decorative panels. And finally, with our panels all in place, it is time to add a bit of twine to create the closure for both of our inside triangle closure little flaps as well as the front one. Our adorable clutch is now ready for all kinds of possibilities. Pictures, inserts, pockets, gift cards, greetings, memories, anything you can think of. So as you can see, one die or one template can yield a plethora of projects. With just a little bit of a twist, a little bit of imagination, we can make quite a few different projects from just one template or die, thus making the investment a whole lot more feasible, right? A lot more pocket friendly. Now, I did actually have a live video, which I will be linking down below, sharing how to make this actual card live. So if you want to see how that is done, that's not included in this video. It's included in the live process. You can actually go check that out. But all this is a super cute belly band that has been made with the paper line, and the card, the greeting card, has been decorated with the gorgeous Graphic 45 Couture collection. So again, I will put a link for that down below. Now, again, even when it comes to the cards, there is a whole world of possibilities. I've made some additional ones. For example, this one is one that I mentioned during that live, that you could actually use your scraps, and then of course you can also magnetize them. So this one's ready for a sentiment or a picture here, whether it's congratulations or thinking of you, but it is magnetized, it's magnetic. And using all kinds of really cool scraps, we've actually completed the inside, and it's pretty neutral. All of them are, because depending on what they're going to be used for. And then this one is yet another project. This one's got a clear acetate belly band, lending to that magical aspect. So you could also make belly bands out of your out of acetate, which is super cool. Another project that I did not share with you in this video was, of course, the fact that you could also use your bases to create a little stand-up for your desks. In this case, I've actually used a calendar, a 2023 calendar, and with tiny staples from Tim Holtz, and then of course a repositionable double-sided tape, so that when it's done we can actually replace the calendar next year if that's what we'd like. So this is another way to use the die. You can also of course put a sentiment like art soothes the soul, or maybe, I don't know, this is my magical place, or keep out of my studio, whatever works for you, or welcome fall, right? Or Merry Christmas. So these are great for gift giving as well, because you can actually get a whole year's use out of them. So that is yet another example. So as you guys have seen, we have quite a few projects. Obviously, we have the triple pocket here, which also has, let me use a playing card, double pockets, one up here, and of course the ones here on the corner. But it's great because you can insert your journaling cards right in there, and then be able to, and the back has the pockets. You guys saw that in the video, we made it together. But I'm just kind of running through them again in case you need it, just to kind of refresh your memory. We've made our little mini envelopes. This one's got the 2 pockets, one here and one here, and that one has got a magnetic closure. This one's got the paper clip closure, so pretty, very dainty, and it's just a little mini envelope. Then of course we've made our double sashed, right, with the rabbit, the white rabbit, and Alice. And then up here we have used a punch to create that as well. Now remember that if you're gluing this on just 3 sides in your journals, this up here will become a pocket as well. So that's another option. Here we made the very basic journal. We didn't add anything to it. There's no photo mats, there's no anything in here, because again, it's a blank slate, just to kind of show you guys that you can also, and you could keep going, right? You could give it more and more panels if that's what you so wished, but it'll be a double-sided, really cool looking journal. And then we made the other one. This one is kind of like this one, except we took it up a notch. We have added a little different of a closure, and this one's got a lot of flips and tucks, right? So on the inside, you've got your, I just left the mat in there to remind me that I can insert notes or something else in there, another maybe little journal. And it's got these pages that flip, right? These pages in here, actually, and this is all done with just 1 die, nothing extra. This is all done with the same template that we've used all along. You've got this pocket right here, which got a very generous card, as well as this one here, another page. And again, we can insert pages, blank pages if we wanted to, right? And subdivide this into, some writing opportunities as well. But when we flip it in the back, you will also notice that you've got another pocket here in the back, and then another pocket here as well. Oh, there we go. I was pinching it. So you've got all kinds of really great possibilities in this one as well. And then last but not least, I wanted to remind everyone that the hexagon that comes with the templates as well also could be great embellishments, right? You can use these for paper clips. You could layer them. You can stagger them this way instead. You can also double punch them to create frames for maybe some layouts, right? In your journals or in your scrapbooking, as well as the fact that you can also fold these in half, don't forget, and make tabs out of them as well, right? So, and even hidden paper clips. I mean, there's just a plethora of things that you can do. So don't forget those little hexagons as well can give you a world. That's a whole nother video of possibilities that we could actually work with. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it. I hope that you guys got something out of it, that it at least got your brain working into thinking, oh boy, yeah, I could definitely do that. And if you are interested in the template, my email and information is listed down below. So feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much for joining us here today, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Blessings.